This is Izzy. I'm Luke.
I'm Maya.
I'm Daniel.
And today we'll be talking about World War I, more specifically the trenches, the military, nation concerns, and nation leaders.
I want to get into the part about the military. The military was weak but very strong. Now I know that might not make a lot of sense, but there was something called trench foot, which made a lot of the soldiers weak, which Maya will get into later. It is very important to know that every soldier had a specific role. Some soldiers were on the lookout for enemies, others would organize rations, food, water, etc. One of the most important jobs was fighting. The soldiers were trained in weaponry. Some soldiers were also trained in hand-to-hand combat.
Okay, so to add on what you were saying, Luke, the soldiers really wanted to fight for their country, but many men didn't know the real effects of the war and what they were getting themselves into. And yes, drafting was still a very real thing during this time, but these soldiers wanted to save their countries from certain downfall.
What exactly is drafting?
This is when anyone over 18 can be picked to go into the military. Think of the Hunger Games, for example, but basically you have to be over 18.
Okay, so basically men didn't have a choice?
No, unless they had a mental or physical impairment that prevented them from fighting.
Okay, that makes sense.
As Luke brought up earlier, there's something called trench foot. Trench foot was when soldiers would stand in trenches with water and their feet would eventually rot. This would cause the soldiers to not be able to walk, run, or even shoot a gun, as crazy as it might sound. Some of you guys might be wondering, what the heck is a trench? A trench is basically a long, narrow ditch that is filled with water where soldiers would hide behind to shoot or hide, to not get shot at. The water would rot their feet to the point where their feet would turn black.
Dude, that's so nasty, Maya. What would they do if they got trench foot?
If you contracted trench foot, you would most likely be put into a military hospital. After a certain amount of time of being in the hospital, if your foot was not doing better and or getting worse, you would be discharged from the hospital, most of the times the military.
Wow, I never realized that.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is national leaders. There are many commanders during World War I, including Wilhelm II, John J. Pershing, Paul von Hindenburg, and many more. These were people that were selected to lead our military to victory. But life on the warfield was not portrayed very correctly in all of the movies.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that commanders weren't always on the battlefield with their soldiers. They wouldn't have a base camp, which there was planning happening. This was a very important part of the war.
So the commanders never fought.
No, commanders did sometimes fight if it was necessary for them to do so.
Okay, just to get this straight, commanders were at the base camp and only fought if they needed it?
Yep.
We should talk civilians next.
Good look. What you got for us?
Well, for starters, people worked all day, every day, except for Sundays. So what that basically means, if you were the mother, you were a provider of the house, especially if your husband just left for war. It was emotional and mental toll taken on was very rough for anyone who was alive during the time of World War I. Like I said before, especially mothers.
Maya, didn't you want to talk about the women in the war?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I'm really glad you brought that up because as we know, women really never had any rights and were never recognized for anything that they did, and they really impacted the war. During World War I, some worked in factories, producing mutinies, building ships and airplanes. They also worked in auxiliary services such as air raid wardens, fire officers, evacuation officers, fire engine drivers, and even nurses. And during this time of World War I, approximately 350,000 American women joined the military. And, they really stepped up during this time of dire need.
That's amazing. Many people don't even know what World War I was about.
Are you serious?
Exactly. Let me explain to you why World War I was even started. First thing is that World War I was fought over the Treaty of Versailles and Germany's desire for revenge. This was because Germany started to lash out for the feeling of betrayal. The Germans felt betrayed because they were forced to sign the treaty.
Wasn't economic downturn a part that also caused World War I?
Yes, I was just about to explain that. The economic downturn was a big part. This was caused by political, civil, and international unrest. Daniel, what else caused World War I?
Well, the rise of extremism was a big role. This is when Europe emerged from World War I with groups of political ground being taken up by players.
Thank you guys for watching! I hope this helped you understand more about what people and soldiers of World War I experienced.
See you next time!
Bye!